3, 2, 1.
Pocket Gamer Podcast. Pocket Gamer Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Pocket Gamer Podcast. It's episode number 271. I am your host, James Gilmore, and joining me live on Twitch, the Twitch stream, we're literally beaming live into computers and faces and homes and digital watches and whatever else has the capability to do this sort of thing, is Peter Wellington.
Hi.
Hi there. Hi there, Peter. How are you,
Hi.
Peter?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Peter good, is he?
Yeah.
Fantastic, excellent. I'm glad to see that. But also, nestled between the two of us, as you may have noticed, is a newcomer to our show, Mr. Rob of 148 Apps.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello there. Now, if you're not familiar with the kind of network that we have, we're all part of Steel Media, which is this company that owns a bunch of different sites. Obviously, AppSpy, you know who we are. If you're an AppSpy subscriber, you know me and you know Peter. Peter also works at Pocket Gamer, as do I. That's a sister site. Also, sister site is 148 Apps, which focuses, if I'm right, exclusively on iOS stuff. Is that correct, Rob?
That is correct.
It is, yeah. So we're all part of a great big media family, which is really boring tech talk.
We all love each other.
Yeah, unconditionally.
Sometimes too much.
Yeah. It's candid, but that stays off the web cameras as far as we're concerned. But it's just really good to have. We said we'd have new people in. We promised, and we're kind of fulfilling our promises. So we had Harry last week, Rob this week, and it's going to be a great big hoedown. And this week there is much news. Interestingly, not just iOS stuff as we usually cover, but there's a bit of 3DS, there's a bit of Vita, a bit of Ace Attorney news, possibly. Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Perks Peter up no end. He likes all that
Under
stuff.
the collar.
I know, right? So, without further ado, let's have a look at the updates. First on this week update, we have got Sonic and Sega Transformed, which has just been announced that it's getting some new characters, specifically Wreck-It Ralph, off of Wreck-It Ralph, and Metal Sonic, which might bring a smile to your mouth, because you like all that Sonic CD stuff, don't you?
Yeah, it's good. The remakes are really good. Enjoy Sonic CD.
Yeah, well, apparently he's going to appear in the roster of unlockable characters. You'll also get additional tracks as well, including the beachfront resort from Outrun Bay.
Oh,
Which is... That's a bizarre marriage of stuff. No,
that's
isn't
amazing. No, the best thing about Outrun, absolutely, is that those beach sections. As soon as you start going inland, just say, I'm not bothered, I don't care. But magical sound shower on the beach with those sort of multiple levels of 2D art flinging towards the screen in the 90s. So good.
That's an impassioned plea there from Peter. He's excited. Rob, are you an Outrun guy?
No, not really.
You're not an Outrun.
I'm going to make it difficult for everyone.
Okay, so but you like races, surely?
Here
Well,
and there.
you can't do if you don't like Outrun. Okay, fine.
Well, apparently you can play Outrun stuff in Sonic now. That's good. You also get an asteroid-filled galactic parade track, so something a bit sci-fi as well. Plus, there's a new Boss Cup challenge and World Tour modes, both of which let you to compete with, race with, whatever, players from all around the world. I don't know if that's leaderboard-wise or literally in real-time multiplayer. I only played Racing Transformed for a bit. I'm not sure if it went multiplayer or not in a real-time way. Either way, free updates for your Sonic there. That's always nice to hear. What else have we got? Plague Inc. has introduced Mega Brutal Difficulty, which is, well...
Sounds hard.
Sounds intimidating to me. I quite liked this when I played it. Peter, you started playing it and then you got a bit sad, didn't you?
I got sad about the idea of there being a global pandemic.
Which I found amusing. I can't believe that you were in any way worried or concerned about this. You know it's a game, right? You know this is a game site. We talk about games rather than actual pandemics. Yeah.
What?
Okay. Fair enough, covered that. Yeah, but it made Peter massively upset. Me, less so. But this time, you get a massive amount of new difficulty. So you get 4 additional scenarios, as well as this whole extra difficulty mode, which bumps it right up to brutal. So if you're, well experienced at this and you're used to causing massive plagues all over the world, then here's your extra challenge. Lucky you. What else have we got on the update? Oh yeah, this is a good one. It's kind of an update, but not quite. Because if you've played XCOM on whatever format it might be, iOS or on the PC or whatever, then you'll know it's brilliant, because everyone loves XCOM. But if you're an Android user, you might not have had the opportunity to get your hands on it. However, that opportunity has just come your way because it has just gone live on Android this week, which is good news if you have an Android device with a bit of storage space on it, because it's 3.6 gig to download. And also, it's going to cost you either $11.99 if you're in the US or £7.14. Because Google Play loves those weird, non-specific price points. They can't do 99s or anything. They have to go for £7.14 and 3 shillings. Because we just like to be difficult. We reviewed the mobile version very, very highly. We thought it was cracking, because basically it is.
We did too.
Did you as well? Oh, fantastic. See, were you a fan of it particularly? Did you play it yourself, or was someone else reviewing it for your site?
Oh, that was all me.
It was all you. Outstanding. And I'm not surprised that you were a fan. I think it's fantastic. There's no way around it. And because it's one of those strategy games, it does actually work well on the mobile platforms. The touchscreen sort of suits it. There are so many games you find that you'll play and it doesn't really transfer quite so well. Dual stick controls and all that. You feel like you're compromising. This one really felt like it made sense to me. So if you do happen to have an Android device and you haven't got it yet, now is your chance. Go grab hold of it. It's phenomenal stuff.
Now they can start bringing the enemy within to iOS and Android.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I actually never played the update. How did that fare?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah?
What's it do that's different?
It's like all the little elements that Enemy Within adds just sort of make it feel even more complete than Enemy Unknown did. Like, it's the same game, but with a whole bunch of extra stuff piled onto it.
Right.
You've got like the cybernetic augmentations for soldiers. You can build the giant mech troopers, but the resources you need to build those, you have to like rush to find on the maps.
Oh.
So there's that toss-up between playing it safe or trying to get these resources.
Okay.
That'll allow you to build like human tanks later on.
Oh, well, the campaign starts here then, basically, to get that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, if you need to catch up on the first bit first, so go and grab that on Android if you feel the need. And you should feel the need. That's what we're saying. Let's do a bit of news next then. Still can't get used to playing the theme tunes. Still makes me laugh. We're doing this live on Twitch, and we did it once before. And you play the themes live, and we don't usually do that.
And actually, because we are live on Twitch, if you're listening to this on the actual podcast feed, then hello, thank you for
hi. And apologies in advance for any references we might make to the videos that are playing underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're not here, you're missing out on the amazing videos that are streaming, and you're also missing out on the chat. And I am looking at the chat at the moment and watching people chatting away about all sorts of bits and pieces, and it's brilliant. So yes, do say hello and do get chatting in there and whatnot. And you've missed out if you're listening to it on the podcast. Shame on you.
Shame, how dare you? Don't insult the loyal listeners who've been with us for ages.
Sorry, okay.
They're awesome. We need them. Don't be silly. But they can also join in live if you want, so you'll catch it like an evening in advance. Yeah. Anyway, new stuff. So, if you're a 3DS owner, you might have played Theatrhythm Final Fantasy. And if you're an iOS owner, you might have done the same thing. Because it did find its way over to the iOS platform with an awful lot of in-app purchases, as I remember.
Mm-hmm. It was free.
And it was free to download, so in fairness, that's okay. And you did get a bunch of songs you could play without spending any money. But if you wanted to get the additional material, and there was a pretty sturdy library of extra songs, wasn't there?
Loads.
Ranging from all the classic things from your Final Fantasies and whatnot, which is kind of hits people right there, right in the heart. Because you're like, you hear the Cloud Strifey songs going in the background, you hear Yuna's theme, and you go, oh. Roll a little tear for Aeris,
when these
maybe.
were good.
So cold. Did you play either the iOS or 3DS version of this one, Rob?
I tried to get into it, but it just, I don't know. It
Not
didn't
for
really
you.
do it for me.
Is it because you're not a rhythm game guy, or did the whole Square Enix Final Fantasy thing not work for you?
I'm a fan of both those things. I think I just couldn't get past the initial stages and wasn't a fan of the free-to-play structure for iOS.
No, that's fair enough. People did take against some of the free-to-play stuff, as, you know, is everyone's right, and fair enough sometimes too. However, if you did enjoy the first one, then you might be pleased to hear that Final Fantasy Curtain Call, part of the 3 Rhythm thing, is going to be coming to North America on the 3DS later this year. So, we heard about it like last year. It was confirmed for the Japanese market, but they hadn't confirmed that it was going to be coming into the West anytime soon. But we have just received confirmation that it will be coming. They're going to be 221 songs. Because
That's a lot of songs.
that is a lot of songs. They've got a fairly... the first one had like quite a lot of...
A billion, yeah.
Yeah, and they were kept being updated with additional stuff. So, but then they've got these, you know, the whole Final Fantasy saga to mine songs out of, and they're long games, and they're pretty well backed by lots and lots of music. So, I guess plenty. Fair enough. There's also 60 characters which you can play as from the entire Final Fantasy series. They've also updated a few things for the game itself, so you get additional game modes, one being a versus battle mode that lets you fight with other players, but you do need a couple of copies of the game if you want to do that. And there's also a quest medley mode, which apparently turns Final Fantasy songs into short, medium, and long quests, which you can then share with friends.
Weird.
I have no idea what that means.
Who is your... Because I was thinking about this when I was reviewing it. There are so many different characters in it, but I do think to myself, I did wonder, like, do I have a favourite Final Fantasy character? And what does that say about me if I do, and or I don't? And whichever one I were to potentially pick, what does that say about me? Because I thought to myself, I quite like what's his name, the little white bear chap, cat chap, Moogle.
The Mogs.
The Mogs, yeah. And I thought to myself, I think they're brilliant, but I think I like them because I quite like Hello Kitty. Like, I think that's the reason that I like those. Like, do you guys have like a favourite character, or is it just like, it's Cloud?
Well, I don't know.
It's not Cloud.
No, the lead characters often you find to be like the least sympathetic characters in the franchise, aren't they? They tend to be a bit emo and a bit whiny and a bit like, I lost my friend and my brother and my father's dead.
Cloud especially.
Yeah. In that very
there though, so
in that Luke Skywalker kind of, I want to go to the Tashi station. They sound a bit whiny, don't they? Whereas you're actually looking at other people and going, hey, you're kind of cool. I like 13. I like the cat, tiger, dog thing out of Final Fantasy 7. Remember him? He was in Red 7, Red 13, something like that.
Red 13, yeah.
Yeah. I like him because he was, straight to the point, didn't say an awful lot because he was a tiger or whatever. And looks sort of badass. I like him. No emo coming out of him. He wasn't whining about his dead pet chinchilla or something. He was a solid. He was. Liked him. Right. So if you are interested in this, if you want to get the second Final Fantasy Rhythm game, then you're going to be looking at it. It's going to be sometime this year. You can already pre-order the game if you want to. Which is good news, but they haven't given you a specific date yet. So you can head on over, check out the Pocket Gamer site. We've got a new story up about it, and you can go via the site to pre-order it if you're really into it. Only the 3DS at the moment, though. So, but given I think it was fairly successful on iOS, was it, Peter? You might know more than me.
On iOS, I think it did quite well. I saw it in the charts fairly often. On 3DS, I think it did very well because it kind of hit that market. Like, the Square Enix market really is on dedicated handhelds, I'd say. Probably.
All right. Well, go on.
Sorry. Just going to chime in real quick. I think my favorite Final Fantasy character would probably be Vivi from Final Fantasy IX.
Who's that? Which one's that?
He was the little black mage kid.
Oh, is he the one that... Oh, I nearly just gave away a massive... Okay. I nearly just spoiled the entire game.
That one.
Oh, yes. Okay, brilliant.
Also, I felt the need to point out that Cloud is so much of a loser, he thought he was someone else for, like, the first half of Final Fantasy VII.
Doesn't he dress up as a lady at one point?
Yes.
He has really odd sort of polygonal lipstick and stuff like that. like the least convincing lady ever.
I'm not even sure they had enough detail to put the lipstick on him.
Although, in fairness, that was probably one of his more interesting and sympathetic moments, I think. It's like, well, at least he's got half a sense of humour there, but no, not so much. Right, so yeah, you can download it, not download it, you can go and pre-order it through the site if you want to, and if you're into your Final Fantasy Song Rhythm games, you can go right ahead and go for that. Sticking with this 3DS news, though, if you're an Ace Attorney fan, then you might be excited to know that there's going to probably be, I'm going to say probably because it's a bit alleged at the moment, a follow-up to Dual Destinies, which came out last year, I believe, which was, a kind of... It was a bit of a change for the Ace Attorney series because it was the first one where it went 3D and the first one where they started using voices properly instead of doing the kind of like little noises and bits and bobs. Now, I forget because we did review it. I think you didn't do it, did you, Peter?
No, I gave it to Mike Rose.
That's right. Was he impressed or not?
No, I don't think he was particularly. I mean, it's a good game, but it's one of the least sort of exciting of the Ace Attorneys. It wasn't kind of helmed by the Ace Attorney guy anyway.
No, he took a break for that one, didn't he?
Yeah, and apparently it sort of shows. It's really sad because I got really hyped about it, and then the review came out, and we were like, oh.
Well, I mean, I hadn't played much of the series because I got a 3DS at the very beginning of its lifespan, and then I was waiting for Metroid to come out. It never did, so I swapped it for something else. And I now regret doing that because it's a fantastic platform with loads of good stuff on it. But I did start playing Ace Attorney on iOS when it came over, those HD remixes, which looked a bit weird.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, are you a 3DS guy, Rob?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're all over that. Okay, so you presumably have either seen or had a go on the original games, and obviously being iOS 148 apps guy, have seen those HD remixes. What was your take on the updated, let's say, visuals?
It didn't really bother me. I mean, it looked a little odd, but you know, it's really just kind of I started to forget after like a couple of cases. It's just kind of, you know, it looks different, but not so different that it like detracts from anything. I thought it's
didn't take
basically
you out
someone
of it or
just
anything.
like traced over the original images in vector art or something.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree. I mean, having not spent a lot of time with the originals, I wasn't in tears or anything. It didn't bother me that much. It just looked a little odd. I've seen people do those HD things before, where they've changed the art a little bit. It looked a bit weird to me. I didn't think it was the best job, but still playing the game. The game transferred onto iPad very well, and I was really enjoying the series. And it's funny because it walks a strange line, that series, between being sort of quite serious in terms of subject matter, because it's about these quite brutal murders.
Yeah. Like they're all murders.
Yeah, some of them are really quite nasty, and at the same time, it's massively wacky and daft, isn't it? Everyone's kind of pulling out these kind of strange, like manga wide-eyed faces and making jokes about
Character names and stuff.
Like more than that, like a lot of the complexity actually comes from the comedy. It's because I think a lot of people look at those games and take them very much on like a face value and just go, oh well, it's clearly a cartoon, therefore the comedy is this. And I think they probably assume that it's a bit sort of slapstick and wacky and whatever. But actually, some of the jokes are really clever plays on words. Like some of them are a little bit childish, like the whole Larry Butts joke. But some of them are, you have to know very specific things about certain bits of Japanese culture to go, oh, that's really funny, or to like look at like bits of the legal system or medicine or whatever it is. And there are little jokes in there that are sort of hidden away for people who have all of that sort of knowledge already there. It's a really, really complex game that isn't afraid to be a bit silly at times. I quite like it for that.
No, it's certainly got lots of character. I'll certainly give it that. Well, as to say, apparently the guy who was the original chap behind the series, like his name is Shu Takumi, I think his name is. He's actually coming back for this new game. That's the rumor. We should say that it's been taken from a page of Famitsu magazine, which has been scanned in and uploaded by Tiny Cartridge. So it's like sitting there online at the moment, and so we haven't got a physical copy of the thing in our hands, but it looks like there's a very good chance that it will be heading our way. It's supposed to be called Grand Turnabout Trial: The Adventures of, now let's go for this, Naruhodo Ryusuke.
You just offended a whole bunch of people, I imagine.
I'm sure I did. That's the best I could do, I'm afraid. Rumors are that it's set in the Japanese Meiji period. Meiji? I'm not sure which.
But it's basically a whole nother bunch of people.
I know. I'm on a roll. And it should be that takes place somewhere between 1896 and 1912. So it's that sort of time period. So it's kind of be a ye oldie. So
Yeah,
if that's the case, surely it can't feature any of the series
so
stalwarts, no?
as I understand, that period of time is right about the decline of the samurai.
Okay.
As in, it became illegal to carry swords in public. From
Oh, I see.
what very little Japanese history I know, that's around that time.
So
And
right up until 1912, it was illegal to
it was legal
wang a
to have,
sari.
I believe. And the game itself is going to feature a sword wielding hero who is related to Phoenix Wright.
Oh, he's going to be the great granddad or something.
I believe, and I believe that's why he's got a sword at the time. So those two things are kind of connected. And I guess maybe law and legality and stuff like that was because that was the time when Japan went really had this huge cultural shift, one of its first sort of cultural shifts. So yeah, I think that's kind of the setup for it. I'm really fascinated because I think it's all I really like the Phoenix Wright universe.
Well, it'll be a big departure. I mean, I know they've had some side games because we argued about the number of true Ace Attorney sequels because there's 3, but there's actually about 7 games or something, 5 or 7 games.
Yeah.
So we're arguing with which ones are supposed to be canon. But if this is going to be like a weird prequel, that is kind of interesting. It'll be a huge departure, and at least the courtrooms will look different. It'll be like a shack or something, or a tree. It'll be up a tree. I'm going to carry on offending Georgia people. Because why not?
They could do a Shin Megami Tensei 4 crossover.
Oh, let's do it.
Well, they've
come on, petition.
They've already done the Leighton crossover, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which apparently is brilliant. I think one of our guys who used to work for our sites, Mike, he's basically said it's the best game of either franchise. He reckons it's the best Ace Attorney game and the best Professor Layton game. I haven't gone anywhere near it yet, but sort of high praise indeed. Regarding this one, if you like Dual Destinies and you play through, then you'll probably be excited about this one. We will keep you posted as to when we get a release date or confirmation, any more information about it. But promising news if you are that kind of guy. Also, news-wise, something that I'm fairly psyched about: Monument Valley, right? Now, have we all played this? I'm going to double check.
I have.
You have. Fantastic, Rob. Peter, no?
No.
Okay.
It's not me this time.
Yeah, I know, right? Get in. Well, Monument Valley is A, brilliant, and B, has been out for a little while, but not too long. Only like a couple of weeks or so. Let me adjust this video. It is, if you're uninitiated, it's a kind of... Best way to describe it. The simplest way to describe it is it's an MC Escher lithograph come to life. But what it is, it's a maze-based puzzle game in which you have to get to the top of a tower by manipulating platforms and areas of this tower to create kind of impossible walkways that shouldn't really exist according to perspective, but when you twist the tower and twist the platforms, it kind of flattens everything onto a 2D plane and makes those impossible structures like the bit in Inception, where they're wandering round and round that staircase again and again, and the MC Escher lithograph, the one with all the stairs that everyone's used to seeing in student bedsits and stuff. So it works like that, and it's really beautifully done, incredibly elegant, I think. Lovely soundtrack, very well considered, not very long, but a really joyful kind of experience. Did you feel the same way, Rob, or did you have queries?
No, I felt the same way. For me, it was basically I just thought it was amazingly beautiful, and it was over a lot sooner than I wanted it to be.
That's pretty much the biggest criticism that we could throw at it and say it's kind of short, and it wasn't especially tough either. Not that was necessarily a terribly bad thing, because just the experience of playing through was incredibly enjoyable. But people did say it's not, and the last level was the only one to really throw up some bit of a head scratcher, but apart from that you kind of sailed through. Well, if you loved it and wanted more, the developer has turned around and said that they are in fact working on additional levels. Apparently they had a whole bunch of ideas for the game, but they didn't want to just throw in levels willy-nilly and just have them randomly put together. They wanted it to fit within the context of the narrative. It's quite a slender narrative, but there is one. So they decided to keep it to 10 levels and keep it kind of nice and neat and tight, and you could race through it in an hour or two. But because they had such a popular feedback, apparently they made back their development budget within the first day of launch,
Wow.
which isn't bad really, because
No, that's
it's a
Good for
relatively
them.
small studio, London-based studio. Guys called Us Two. They did Whale Trail and a couple of other things beforehand. So it's not like a big team or anything like that, but it kind of has the polish of something that more people might have worked upon. So what they said was, this is a quote. They said, "There are some ideas we didn't get to work on in the game, so we'd like to see them work, and therefore we'd like to try some additional stuff." And that's what they're doing here. They're going to add a few new levels. Now, what they say is the only thing we presented is a complete story within the game, which we didn't want to mess with. But what we don't quite know yet is how to present the new levels within that narrative. They're very keen, apparently, not to break it. I guess they deliberately tried to make the game, a certain length and follow a certain path.
Is the narrative particularly explicit? Or...
Well, there are story moments in which you stop, because you're guiding this young girl to the top of all these towers, and each time she gets to the top, she takes off her hat and this kind of little cuboid crystal which changes every time it appears. And she occasionally talks to this ghost thing who's saying, like it's in the video, like, why are you here and what are you doing and why have you come back? So there's this history. I'm not going to spoil the story, but there is a narrative, but it's not essential. I wouldn't consider it a story-driven game, really.
Okay.
yeah, no.
But they in their eyes, it does have a narrative and it had a form that they didn't want to meddle with. So they are gonna add new stuff, but they don't quite know how yet. Whether it's going to be like additional DLC where you download individual levels, or they make a little mini story out of it, they're not 100% sure. What they do want to do also is bring it to Android. So if you haven't played it yet, and because you are an Android-owning person, it should be coming to Google Play sometime in the near future. They're still working on it at the moment, so don't expect it to turn up immediately or anything, but it is in the works, which is like particularly good news. We're all iOS people though here, aren't we?
Unfortunately, yeah. I'd like an Android device, but just I haven't got around to getting one yet.
But you haven't played it yet, so you've got no excuse.
No.
No, you should really get on it, because I think you especially might like it, because you like games that aren't too scary or nasty or make people ill.
What are you saying about me?
Well, you're easily startled, aren't you? You're like a little
yes.
rabbit.
Yes, I am easily sold. The other day, this is genuinely true. I was out walking, and I was like literally going to one of the local shops or something like that, and I had my headphones on, and I turned round, and a small child, probably about 6 years of age, was stood in the middle of the path with like a little scary mask on, like you might get in a like might cost £1 in a dress-up shop. And I wasn't really looking where I was going because I had my headphones on, and I looked up and saw it, and I literally jumped. I didn't make a noise, but I went like that, and the child saw me and like lifted up the mask and went like, what? Just made this face of just like, but you're like an adult. Why? Like, how did that genuinely?
Was it a Simba mask, Peter? Did you get scared by the Lion King?
Haven't we got more things to talk about?
Than your terror, yes. Well, also, in addition to it coming to Android, they are considering it bringing it to PS Vita as well. So clearly the success of the iOS version has caused them to want to branch out and share the love with everybody, which is a cracking idea. And I think I couldn't really find many people with a bad word to say about it other than the length. So if they are addressing that, then that can only be a good thing. Be sure to check back with both Pocket Gamer and AppSpy and 148 Apps, because we'll all keep you posted on this stuff as it comes. And there are videos up on all the sites, no doubt, which give you like walkthroughs and reviews and all that sort of stuff covered. But check back and we'll tell you when we get the release dates and exactly what form these exciting new updates are going to take. So that's all the newsy stuff out of the way, which means I think we should probably take a look at... Ooh, where's the files? Oh, it's so smooth. Love it. Yep. There we go.
Yeah.
Let's find out what's out and about this week. Out and about this week, Third Eye Crime, which is what they call a stealth game with a psychic twist. So, we played this a little bit on the stream yesterday, didn't we, Peter?
We did.
And I was enjoying it with slight caveats. Have you had a go at this one yet, Rob?
I have not. I
No.
tried to check it out at PAX, and it's like the first time I went by, they weren't set up yet, and then just got too busy after that.
Oh, really? They're being a bit coy. Okay, well, you can see, if you're watching the stream, a video of it underneath us at the moment. It's going to be a playthrough that was done by Pocket Gamer, so you can see what the game looks like. For you listeners out there, it is a top-down film noir style comic book, which is like, rather than you playing the role of a detective like you would normally do in these things, you're actually taking on the role of a criminal who has psychic powers. And it's presented from a top-down perspective. And what you're trying to do is sneak through these museums in order to steal artifacts, diamonds, paintings, that sort of thing. And get to an exit without being caught by the guards who are working at the museum. Now, in order to do this, you have to avoid their little cones of vision. You know in Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that, where they have those visible cones that show you where they're looking. You can see that protruding from the chests of these guards. So in order to make it to the end of the level in one piece, you need to sneak past them, ideally without alerting them at all. But if you do alert them, then you have to run off and hide somewhere. The psychic element comes in when you're trying to avoid where they're going to walk. So, for example, once you alert them, a little red kind of bar appears, which shows you where they think you are. So you can use that information to go, well, if they think I'm over there in that corridor, then I'm going to scurry off to this other corridor and then sneak past them when they're not looking. So that's your kind of psychic element. First thing to say is it looks really nice. If you're watching in the videos below, you can see it's got a very nice, say, comic bookish style. The control was very smooth. You kind of put your finger on the screen and then drag outwards. And a little arrow appears, and it draws a little kind of waypoint, a little line from his chest, which then bends around corners. So you can kind of, drag him around a corner and then leave him, and he'll carry on walking the way that your finger dragged him. A couple of things I thought were a bit weird is once you get spotted, you carry on sneaking. You're walking at a very slow pace. You can see it in the video. He's kind of creeping. And then you get spotted, and he just carries on creeping, even though he's got like two people in pursuit behind him, which I thought was kind of incongruous. I expect surely you break into a trot at that point, or I don't know.
Well, the point we were the point that we sort of almost touched upon with the stream was that in Metal Gear Solid, you like Snake starts running, and in fact that's the only way that you can make him jump, isn't it? Like you get spotted and then he dives into the ocean again, where he came in the original Metal Gear Solid. That was the only way to make him do that. And so you trigger people to do that. But yeah, like the idea that you just can't like run. I guess I can understand like mechanically why that all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like because you want everything to stay at the same place so that your player can figure out, well, this is how I do things. Because also if you can run, then surely the guards should be able to run as well.
Yeah, so everyone kind of just sort of toe taps awkwardly around the museum. It was a little kind of odd. Where do you stand on stealth games, Rob? I know this is kind of a love-hate genre for a lot of people. Some people just, if there's no gun, they're not interested. What's your feelings?
It depends on the stealth game.
Yeah?
Like the like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Metal Gear Solid, not Twin Snakes, but the original Metal Gear Solid. Even Mark of the Ninja.
Oh yeah.
Great stealth games. I do enjoy stealth games. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Deus Ex Human Revolution because of that whole boss fight business. But there are a lot. I really like playing stealth.
A lot of people took issue with that because if you were powering up as an action guy, if you played the whole thing through violently, then they weren't so bad. But if you were trying to be stealth, which let's be fair, if you're playing Deus Ex, you should be trying to be stealth because that is the cool ninja thing to do. And then the boss fights would appear and say, "Shoot him with guns," and you'd be like, "But I am crap with guns. I have been sneaking for 10 hours." Yeah. And you got kind of your ass handed to you. But yes, this one seems to be... I like the look of it. It's very easy and accessible to sort of pick it up and play. It's understandable, the controls make good sense. And the presentation's exquisite. I'm not 100% sold on the gameplay. I also noticed when I played back through it after the stream, you can walk through the guards without them noticing.
Huh.
The very first thing I did was trying to avoid his cone. I was like, can I walk? I can't walk behind him. So I just walked straight through him. And that was apparently fine. Which I thought was like, that's not so good, you know?
No.
Like, all that attention to detail.
Psychic.
Psychic
that's
and invisible, apparently.
Well, that's it then. Yeah.
You can pass through solid objects without them noticing, which is a neat trick. There are also little power-ups that you can use as well. There are these things that you can like freeze the enemies. So again, using psychic freeze powers. But you only have a limited number, and those can be bought within app purchases as well, which always flags up a bit of a warning nowadays.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's a premium game. It's out right now. It's £1.99 or $2.99. We're going to have a review up very, very soon, and I'm not sure because I saw the trailers and I was really excited. I played it. I have reservations, so I'll be interested to see how this one turns out. Next up, though, we have Leo's Fortune. Did you have a go at this one? Anybody?
I didn't.
I feel like you're a teacher and I haven't done my homework.
You haven't done. Rob's been good though. Rob's clearly has had a look at it or something. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't played the official release version, but I got to preview it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
It's very good stuff.
Yeah, I got this recommended to me by Rob, who's one of our like reviews editor type chappies.
Not me, other Rob.
No, other Rob. Sorry, I should distinguish the two. UK Rob. He said like have a look at it because you see a screenshot and like you see the lead protagonist and you're like okay, but he said no, trust it. It looks really good and it plays very well. And it really does. Played it in the stream yesterday. Again, you can see it on the video below if you're not watching. Then you take control of a small fluffy creature, like circular fluffy ball with a moustache called Leo, who appears to be some kind of Russian oligarch or something. He speaks in a Russian accent, and he was very rich and has lost all his money. And so what you're trying to do is get it back. Now, really, the thing this game reminded me of, oddly, was Sonic.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, you played it early in the released version, Rob, and it's all those little tunnels that you're going through.
Oh yeah.
Like
all the little like around the loops and stuff. And,
yeah. And the fact that you're collecting gold coins, which substitutes nicely for rings, and I got a distinctly Sonic vibe for it, but it's incredibly good looking. Like,
oh, it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's an unusual looking thing, especially with the protagonist, but it looks incredible. And the animations are astonishingly smooth. The environments are very, very richly detailed. They have a slightly interesting take on the jump mechanic, where rather than him having little legs and leaping to the air, he kind of inflates. He expands. And this can be used in numerous ways. You tap the screen and he'll kind of puff up and jump into the air. But also there'll be devices and objects that he has to manipulate. So, for example, there might be a lever very low to the ground, and he can tuck himself underneath it and then inflate, and that'll flip the lever up and, activate a platform or something like that. So it's quite ingenious use of the mechanics. How much of it did you play? Because I'm only about sort of 4 or 5 levels in, Rob.
I watched several levels being played from the later stages, and I played like maybe the first 3 from the first world. But yeah, even though each section of levels has the same theme, they all look incredibly different.
Yeah,
which I thought was really amazing.
I got a couple of those moments where you're coming out of one of the tunneled sections where it's very wooden and walled in, and then suddenly it's like you're in this underground forge, and there's fire in the background and everything. And it's a real like atmospheric shift, and I was like, wow, that's kind of awesome. It's nice the games to do that. Monument Valley was another game where you would do something, you'd flick a switch, and suddenly everything would start to transform, and you'd get a genuine kind of wow moment, which you can play, 40 quid PlayStation 3 games and not get a single one of those. And
you get a wow. I paid 40.
I shot the man. Yay me. But with those games, constantly, like all the way through, it was a short experience. All the way through, I'm just going, wow, that's awesome. Look at that. Oh, twisty, turny. It really opened kind of like the floodgates of awesome. And this one, visually speaking, certainly very, very impressive. And it was very smooth to control. And there are 2 control options. You can either use a sort of touch-based interface where you slide your thumb left and right to guide him left and right and flick up with your right thumb to jump. Or you can replace those with buttons. I tried out both. I actually think the button version works better. Ooh. Usually I prefer gesture stuff if you're going to do something. Well, usually gesture controls are better, but with platformers, it's a bit iffy sometimes. And as Ravenous Games have proved, you can really nail touchscreen platform controls if you do it right. I felt the same way about Limbo. When they brought Limbo onto iOS, you had to do that. You had to flick up to jump.
Oh, yeah, that was rubbish.
Okay.
Oh, it was.
Didn't bother
though.
me at all.
Oh, I really hated that flick mechanic. It just felt really unnatural. Well, to me, it felt really unnatural. But I think that's because I played the PC version first.
Yeah, well, I played the Xbox version when it was out, but I found it a little bit awkward. Jumps where you have to flick instead of just tapping, I don't know, it seemed unnecessary. Like, why do a gesture when you can just tap and he'll jump? But I mean, that's just a personal preference thing. You've got the choice here to do either, and I'm going to carry on playing it, which is not necessarily something I do bother doing with all these games because we've got a lot to get through. But I really enjoyed it. The earlier levels that I played, you can get it right now. It's £2.99 or $4.99. Apparently, there's a fairly solid chunk of content because it is, not the cheapest of games. But yes, you can see the video playing underneath. Look at the hands-on videos we've got up on both sites. And again, the review will be up very soon for this. And I have a feeling it might be quite positive. So keep an eye out for it. Next up, this is one I don't really know anything about. Suit Up, it's called. Let me expand the video. Yeah, I don't really know a great deal about this. So, apparently, I'm looking at the video now with you guys. I'm just going to expand it because it's actually much smaller.
So
than
this
the other
is
videos.
hot off the top, like this is off the cuff action here. Like,
Sure,
we're gonna get some,
why not? Is that a suit pun, off the cuff action?
Yeah,
Oh.
deliberate, clearly.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, anyway, so have you played this one, Rob, just in case? You know something that I don't?
I have not even heard of it.
Fantastic.
No, I've never
All
heard
right,
of
then
this.
we're all on the same page. So as we can see from the video right now, it's a one-touch platformer. What it's saying to me is it's very sort of simple retroist block graphics. You're taking control of what looks like a little robot dude or something, and going through a series of different environments. Some of them being like vertical platforms where you're just leaping upwards. Some of them being more traditional side-scrolly levels, which look like they might come out of, I don't know, League of Evil or something like that. There are also bits where there are large circular platforms spinning, which remind me of something like They Need to Eat, I think that's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
You know that one? Where you're jumping off the side of spinning things. Apparently, though, rather than using on-screen buttons or joysticks, you tap the screen to determine the apex of your jump. And then the robot, legs it over in that particular direction. And according to our newsman, Harry Slater, usually ends up dead. Because that's sort of what happens. They reckon that, it's interesting. I'm not going to pass judgment on it because you have to wait and play. But it's available right now, £1.49 or $1.99. So that's Suited Up. Yeah, interesting. Now, we won't linger on this for too long because I think Rob's going to talk about it in greater detail later. But,
Am I?
well, maybe. Wayward Souls.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Fair enough. Well, that came out last night as well. It is a top-down action roguelike, if I'm right in thinking, is it? It's permadeath stuff. So
Yes.
yeah, randomly generated dungeons that you're running through. 16-bit-ish graphics, so it looks a little bit, Amiga or SNES era. And I've heard ridiculously good things about this rumbling away in the background.
Oh yes,
Yeah?
yes, yeah. There's some internal chat at the
Yeah.
moment.
The review, that's what I saw in our little office Skype window. The review hasn't gone live yet, but it sounds pretty it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I played a bit of it and found it immediately accessible. I rolled my eyes a bit because of all the zombies, but
you do though, don't you?
that's
Come
a
on.
normal reaction. But the presentation and stuff was kind of great, and it was very easy to control the fighting aspects, all tapping and things like that, to activate your swords and special powers. I'll let you talk about it in slightly more detail, Rob, later. But you can get it for £2.99 or $4.99. They have a slightly interesting payment system here where they say that's a launch price, £2.99, $4.99. Every time that they update the app, they're going to raise the price by $1.
I don't think that'll last.
No?
But, well, I mean, how many? I mean, say for example, it's super popular, right?
Yeah.
And they keep doing it. They keep doing updates. There's 5 updates. At some point, you start pricing out a new market, and the return becomes completely pointless.
Yeah,
So-
it sounds like an early kind of...
Apparently,
pitch
the
thing.
review has just gone live.
Oh,
on
really?
Gamer, yes.
And?
And we can tell you that it got a much coveted 10 out of 10.
That,
Like We
Yeah.
do not give those out.
No, that's why I was kind of raising my eyebrows, because that never really happens around these parts. We're notoriously, well, people accuse us of being harsh with our reviews.
We're just-
I like to
we're
think
just
we're
grumpy.
pragmatic.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, that one. Yeah.
But yeah, so do you know who reviewed it? Was it Harry or was it...
Harry, I think.
It was Harry, yeah. He took to it like the Dickens. I'm going to play more of it, but yeah, Rob will talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
£2.99, $4.99. We'll try and get to the bottom of why he might have thought it's so good. Moving away from iOS, just for a moment, because Pocket Gamer is a sort of multi-platform site, so they like to get involved, you know.
Unlike you guys over at 148 Apps, where it's all like, it's all about these, isn't it? It's all
We
about
only have
the
eyes for
Yes.
iOS.
disgraceful.
We're in
Absolutely.
cahoots.
Let's
Right,
talk about brilliant other platforms.
Yes, because you're a Vita owner, aren't you, Pete?
I am. I'm one of them. Yes.
Have you got one of those, Rob?
Yes.
You do? Wow.
Just
Four
because the
people
site
now.
only covers iOS doesn't mean I don't play anything else.
No. I like to check though. I don't want to assume everyone has a Vita because, like, there's only about 6 of you, and you know you're a select group of people.
Oh, yeah.
So, because I certainly don't have a Vita, but I would quite like to get to grips with one. So, if you do have one, you might be interested to know that Ragnarok Odyssey Ace will be out in Europe next week. We're getting this one to you slightly early. Oh, look, proof on the stream that Rob does in fact have a PS Vita.
I do.
Amazing.
Harry was talking about his actually. I'm quite impressed by the number of our lot of colleagues who do actually have a Vita, because I think it's a lovely piece of kit.
Got my Persona 4 golden
Yeah.
Very
wallpaper
nice.
on there.
Very nice. You see, the main reason I was tempted to get it is because I'm a Wipeout fan, huge Wipeout fan, and it was like potentially the last Wipeout game ever.
Do you want to know what's really extravagant?
Go on then. 2 Vitas. You. Oh, he just one upped you, Rob. He saw your Vita and he
It would have
raised
been
you.
more impressive if one of them was the white one.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah, I need to get.
Are they both the normal Vita, the old
disappointed
Vitas,
now.
or is one of them one of the new ones?
No, they're both the proper good old
OLED screens.
OLED ones.
Proper
Yeah, I need
screens.
to get the white one, but yeah, it's lavish, ridiculously.
Am I going to have to run around and I have to dig out my PSP now
Yeah,
so I can hang with the cool kids?
I've got my N-Gauge somewhere. I think I put it
PSP right here too.
Yeah.
Absolute result.
Oh wait, no, that's right. Sony flipped the Switch again, and all the PSP games don't work on it anymore.
Oh, that's a
yeah.
bummer.
That was a real pain, because those games were like, some of those games are absolutely amazing. Like
Oh yeah.
like PSP and PS1 games that are just like absolute classics.
Yeah, they had
and,
some crackers, didn't they?
and they just went, oh yeah, you can have them all. Oh no, wait. You know.
Mhm.
Absolutely
I saw the
This-
same thing on PS4. Like I saw something today where they had turned on the old downloads for like the PS1 games, and then
That's it. Yeah.
turned them off again.
Yes, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah, same
it's
thing.
completely preposterous. Like.
Like,
Um,
what are you doing, Sony?
Now, one of the things that we've got in the chat is there's a question about why the hell you would need 2 Vitas, and I
It's
do
a
feel
valid question.
I do
That is
feel
very
like I
valid.
should probably answer that. The way that the Vita region stuff is set out, it makes it a massive pain to swap between Europe and America, and because I'm the handheld editor, it would be good for me to have access to both.
Right.
So I basically have 2 bits of.
Is it because you
ridiculous-
wanted to? You thought they were in 3D and you were confused about how 3D works?
Yeah, I
and
just
you
put both over my eye.
sellotaped one to each eyeball, and
It's incredible. It's incredible.
it is-
Or maybe it's Oculus.
So yeah. So this Monster Hunter clone that we're going to talk
How
about.
dare you? How dare you,
sorry.
Wellington?
Oh,
Oh.
it's true though. It's so true.
Yeah, apparently it is true. I don't have the Vita, I haven't played it, but obviously we're looking at the visuals and stuff. And at the moment, there isn't a Monster Hunter game available on Vita, right?
No, not yet.
So,
No, just the PSP version that you can play on the Vita.
oh yeah, oh god, I hated that. That
right.
Monster Hunter Try or whatever it was.
Here's the thing.
Right.
That game is amazing
with
on the
2
Vita.
sticks.
On the Vita, because you can change
The controls?
the face buttons so that you can use the right stick. So
Yeah.
actually, it becomes a really good.
That was the
monster.
problem. Like trying to turn the camera around in that game was impossible on the Vita. It was a horrible
Right,
on
you
the
just have
PSP.
to,
Sorry.
do the claw.
Yes.
Ah, grim.
But that was awful. I couldn't. And it's kind of a tough game anyway. Where you
I
need
knew
to
somebody got
grind.
RSI doing that. Like, actually got RSI doing it, and it
Doing
was just
the
like,
claw.
Oh, ridiculous.
No, it sucked. Well, if you haven't downloaded that then, so the alternative basically, because there was no official Monster Hunter game on Vita, was Ragnarok Odyssey. It came out, I'm going to say, have we had it for a while? Or is it the other way around?
So what?
I think the
Obviously,
US, either the US and possibly Japan territories had it,
So
and we haven't in Europe.
So Ragnarok Odyssey Ace
Right.
is like a deluxe version of Ragnarok Odyssey, which has been out for like a couple of years now.
Okay.
And Ace has been out in America for a couple of months, I want to say, but Japan's had it for
For yonks, yeah, okay.
like loads of time.
Well, we're going to be getting it in Europe on Wednesday, April 30th. So it's going to be coming next week, which is good news. We actually gave it a fairly good review, because it is, apparently, our quote is refreshing, straightforward gameplay, fun combat systems, sharp graphics, all that kind of stuff. And you got cross-platform play as well, which is always welcome.
And that's from Dina, and he knows his business.
Apparently, yeah. Matthew Dino is one of our American correspondents. He knows his 3DS and Vita biz. He's all over it. But yes, I think you're right, Rob, in saying that it is basically a Monster Hunter clone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was also Phantasy Star Portable, which is kind of similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another PSP game.
They've not quite it strikes me that all of these games that are doing this, like there's God Eater Burst as well, and there's a whole bunch of other games trying to take the Monster Hunter crown, right? And it's it's a good thing to do, absolutely, because competition breeds even better games. But the thing that strikes me is none of these competitors have got the online element done yet, and the only thing
neither has Capcom.
Well, no, absolutely, and this is my point. No, I completely agree with you. As soon as a game comes along that goes, right, this is mechanically as good as Monster Hunter, but guess what? It's not a complete pain in the arse to get online and play with friends. That's it.
Yeah.
Problem solved, right?
Supposedly, Monster Hunter 4 that's coming to the 3DS is going to have Wi-Fi multiplayer. Supposedly.
It better do.
Yeah.
So, hang on. So it didn't have multiplayer in the previous
So
ones? I thought
Monster
the whole
Hunter-
point of certainly on the PSP, you could meet
Right.
up with 3 people and do it wirelessly, right?
Do you want to hear what is... So Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate
Right.
on 3DS.
Yeah.
If you want to go online with it, I believe you have to hook up to your Wii U. And there is a special app that you download on the Wii U, and it can port it through that. But even better than this, I don't believe it's possible for a 3DS to connect to a Wii U that's online to play other people. So you can't have one 3DS with one friend and a Wii U, and the Wii U is online, and it's giving all of that information over to play other people. So you can't get together in smaller groups. You have to either all be in the same room on the 3DS and one Wii U, or you have to all be online playing Wii U. Okay.
And the PSP version was to play the PSP version online, you had to download Ad Hoc Party on the PlayStation 3.
Oh my god! I completely forgot about
Do it
Ad
that
Hoc
way.
Party. That was the worst.
Oh, man.
Amazing!
Well, I mean, it functioned.
Did it?
It did. I've used it to play Monster Hunter several times, but they really, I don't know why they couldn't have put online multiplayer in Monster Hunter Ultimate for the 3DS. I mean, Capcom made Resident Evil Revelations, and that had online multiplayer.
Yeah.
So
Oh, God.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Monstrous.
Well, this is apparently a little bit easier to handle, from what we understand. What they say is it's going to be a download-only purchase, however. For, at least if the US version's anything to go by. You need 2.2 gigabyte on your memory card.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing the PS or the Vita memory cards are so cheap then.
I know, so cheap. And you can use any memory card you want, not some ridiculous proprietary memory card that only works with Vitas. Yeah, Sony are good like that. Their proprietary memory card thing, they're on another planet where that stuff is concerned. UMDs, anybody? Mini discs, they just come up with all this media, this transferable media that never catches on. They always think it's going to catch on.
This is also a company that apparently has some kind of backwards compatibility master switch that they can just flip on and off at will. So
yeah, they're arguing, like you say, those PS1 and PS2 games will be playable on the PS4. They're saying maybe not the PS3 because it had the weird cell architecture that will confuse the new thing. But that they could totally do it. They could
I'm
totally
getting
do it.
upset now. I'm totally getting upset.
Well, don't be upset, Peter. It's all right. So we don't know how the European version is going to handle exactly of Ragnarok Odyssey Ace, but it should be fine if the American version is anything to go by. And we quite liked it, so it might be worth a look. It's going to be out, say, end of this month if you are in the EU. And finally, for your new releases, the first 2 episodes of The Walking Dead Season 2 are coming to Vita as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is good for you, Peter, because it's actually not good at all, because you're not going to play it still, are you? Ever.
No, never.
That's a shame.
Because you're a scaredy cat.
Yep.
Basically, I am slightly torn about this, to be honest with you, because I enjoyed the first episode. I've enjoyed the second one as well, but don't think it works quite so well playing as Clementine, personally. Like, the strength of the original series was all about you taking control of that guy, taking charge of Lee, and having to look after Clementine. He was your ward, and a lot of the thrills and the worry and the terror and the fear of that game came from making sure she was okay. Whenever she'd wander off and do something, you'd be like, no, where's she gone, and trying to make the right decision in order to save her life. Now you're playing as her. It's a very different perspective, and I don't know. It's understandable because she was such a popular character, but I mean, I know Peter hasn't played it. What's your take on the second season, Rob?
Haven't touched the second season yet. I've
No?
been trying to work my way through the first season still. Just lots of things on my plate.
Fair enough.
Basically.
Well, that's interesting because we haven't touched on the first season for a while. Now, the hype was unbelievable at the time, and everyone jumped up and down and went mental about it. What platform are you playing it on? Are you doing it on iOS or console or?
Primarily, it's been on the iPad.
Okay. And have you found, now you've listened to all the hype and sort of lived through a year of everyone saying it's the best thing ever, has that spoiled your playthrough, or are you enjoying it?
Oh, I'm definitely enjoying it. I mean, I'm still really early on. I think I'm only a third of the way through the second chapter
Oh,
of the first season. So
it's all kind of just starting to hot up for you then.
ways to go. But no, I've been impressed with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Well, it's nice to see that it does. I would always worry that games that are hyped that much, you then sit down and play them and go, I don't know what all the fuss is about. But I did enjoy them. Not 100% sold on Season 2, but if you are Vita-owning type champ, you can now get the first 2 episodes. If you buy them individually, they're £3.99 or $4.99. But you can also buy the season pass, and that's usually about £10 or $14, something like that. And that just unlocks everything, and you can get access to all the other episodes later on, which, if you're a fan of the first series, is probably the way to go. Saves you a little bit of money. So that's pretty much everything new release-wise. So we're going to move on to that most hallowed of sections, in which we find out what we've been playing by sitting.
Come sit upon my throne of games.
Upon that thing. Yes, it's the Throne of Games, which is the bit where we all tell everybody what we've been playing this week. You didn't get to hear the cool sting, but we're all too familiar. So, as a new inductee into this particular thing, what you have to do is you have to sit on the throne, right, of games. Yeah.
Swarm.
And then you tell us about a game, what you have been playing over the course of the week. So, Rob, go for it. The throne is yours.
Okay. Well, from what you said.
Oh. Well, we've.
So, I have been working on that for. Oh, I think the video's screwing up on me here.
Yeah, you got a little stuttery at that point.
This is what happens when you do it live. Amazing.
I know, right? So what you were trying to say there was that it was a way playing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So, what's your take? What's your experience so far?
I've been really enjoying it. I was a big fan of Mage Gauntlet, and this is very much like Mage Gauntlet, but much more refined, has a lot more elements to it that I enjoy. I like the roguelike stuff. Still trying to unlock those extra characters, because it is a tough game. You got to be really careful how you... Like, each character plays totally different, so you want to be careful and make sure that you use their abilities and items effectively. But it's been a really good time.
Yeah. I mean, I played it sort of very briefly, about sort of 10, 15 minutes, and played through that little opening section. It did feel weirdly polished. I mean, it's obviously made to look like a retro game, and that's pretty much par for the course now. Everyone's doing this whole pixel art graphics thing, and that's understandable. And for that reason, these things can kind of blend into the background. There's a big wall of these games that get released every week of pixel arty things that are emulating old Zelda-esque games, or things like that. So you tend to go, oh god, another one of these. However, the polish on the animations, there's all flashes of stuff that looks like beyond 16-bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll get like lighting effects from the little swinging lamps that are on screen, and they cast actual light. And the same thing when you're doing those kind of power attacks and flash attacks, you get little flashes of effects that you think, oh, that's actually a bit next gen. That's quite nice. But it's all sort of framed within this very 16-bit looking experience.
Yeah, and there's the way that like some of the objects in the environment get destroyed, and little bits can get kicked around and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that. So, I mean, people have made comparisons online. I've only read little bits and pieces, but Spelunky has come up in terms of the kind of roguelike way in which you play it. Do you think that's a fair comparison, or is this different?
Yes and no. I mean, it's like Spelunky basically because of the roguelike angle. I don't know if I'd say it's really that much like Spelunky.
Right.
I mean, I guess to an extent, you have to learn what the best strategies are for specific creatures and encounters and stuff. But because it's so random, you don't really have. I don't know. It's less about environment traversal and more about just finding your way through each room filled with enemies to the end of the floor.
Right. And you say there's 6 different characters. Is that right? You got like a warrior and a rogue and a mage and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And are they all available from the top? Is there anything you have to unlock or anything like that? Or
the warrior, rogue, and mage are available from the start, and then there are 3 other characters that you can unlock by completing the different floors in the dungeon. There's like a bronze, silver, and gold, and if you complete the bronze, you unlock one character. Complete the silver, you unlock the other.
Gotcha. And how long do playthroughs take? I mean, I'm playing an awful lot of FTL at the moment, and those sessions can last anywhere from, like 15 minutes if you're out of luck to hours. How long do these things kind of last?
I'd say it's about the same.
Yeah?
I mean, getting up to that first boss, which I still haven't beaten, it took me maybe like 20 minutes to a half hour.
Right.
And then I died. And then I started over again, and then I made it to like the 3rd floor and died. So I couldn't even make it back to the boss.
Right. There is that element, because these are roguelikes, and this one is procedurally generated as well, isn't it? So the levels and the dungeons are randomly generated, like FTL. Yes. There is that element of chance when, like, FTL, you'll come out of the dock, you'll jump to the first planet one time, and it'll just say, oh, look, your engine's blown up. Ha! And it's like, oh, right, brilliant. Or half your crew's been killed. And just like in the very first jump. Or, equally, you might jump into something and you encounter a ship which has got the best weapon in the game in it. And so suddenly you're off to...
It's too early for you to afford it.
Yeah, I know. That is a killer. The run I'm on at the moment, which I'm on about like Sector 6 or something. And it's because earlier on in the game, I stumbled across, oh, look, it's the best weapon in the game. I happen to have enough money to buy that. And so now the one where you draw the little line along the screen and it just a beam cuts its way through several rooms at a time and kills people in like 1 or 2 strikes. And it's so satisfying. But that was the first time that happened to me. All of my runs prior, that hadn't happened. So there is that slightly randomized element to it. But it does make it kind of very, very replayable. In terms of the creatures, first thing I ran into when I'm playing this game was a bunch of zombies. And I went, oh, yeah, more zombies. Does it get more varied than that? Is it a better kind of bastry than you might expect?
From what I've seen, yes. I mean, there are definitely more enemies the deeper you go in the bronze section of the dungeon. I hate those freaking bats, though.
They're bats.
But no, I mean, there's more to it than just zombies. You'll start coming across like these golems and like giant robots and stuff. And then there are the other sections of the dungeon that have totally different enemies that I've seen in screenshots and videos, but haven't made it to yet myself.
Okay, so they're still waiting for you then.
Yes. Yeah, there seems to be a decent amount of variety.
Okay. So safe to say it's a recommendation, you'd say?
Oh, very much. It's really cool. I mean, there are like little incremental upgrades you can make to the characters with the gold you save up from each run. But that's just gonna give you maybe a slight edge. Just simple things like your energy recharges a little faster, or you get more health from health potions. But
Right.
there's just something really cool about finding one of those forges that lets you pick one of two options to upgrade your equipment, and you can kind of strategize in advance that way, and then hope you play well and not die before you get to the boss.
Always helps. I heard that somewhere. Well, it's a solid recommendation from Rob and a Platinum Award, a 10 out of 10 from Pocket Gamer. And that doesn't, like I said, that doesn't happen.
They're incredibly rare.
Yeah, so strong recommendations from everybody. If you wanted to get it, you can get it right now. Like we said, £2.99 or $4.99. Wayward Souls, solid recommendation. Go grab it. Okay, I am going to speak next very briefly. This is kind of a cheat because it's one of the things I've been playing on the App Spy stream, but I want to talk about it because we've been playing a lot recently for obvious reasons. The Wolf Among Us.
Okay.
Because I don't want to cover ground, but if you've watched the App Spy streams of this, you've been seeing me play through it for like about 4 hours now at this point. And I played through the first chapter before and everything. We're on to the third chapter now, but I haven't talked about it on the podcast. I'm sort of slightly falling out of love with it as I've been working through. I understand that the third episode, which I've just started, really picks up, right? Okay. But like the first episode I was quite taken with because it introduced you to the world and you suddenly saw that vibrant new environment with all the incredibly bright, vivid colours, and I liked the fairy tale concept of this sweary fairy tale in which people are running around glamoured to look human, but underneath it they're actually wolves and pigs and all that kind of stuff. And this nasty film noir, dark, grungy, sort of grimy underbelly using these fairy tale characters, which are a nice juxtaposition. It's based on the Fables comics, if you're not familiar with the franchise. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of fun, and it's using that very similar Walking Dead type gameplay with choosing character options, and they slightly affect your outcome, how your decisions will affect how people treat you, that sort of thing. So I was like, yep, this is a nice little change from The Walking Dead, similar to, but a different universe. Second one felt less so. The second episode, having played through it, I didn't feel like I did much, like that was of any consequence. I felt much more like I was passive, like I was sort of watching it unfold, rather than any of my decisions having any kind of serious impact. I mean...
Okay, so there is a thin line between adventure game and game book. Game book's maybe not the right word, but like virtual novel.
Yeah, you're
visual
right.
novel, I should say.
Yes, there is a crossover, and one is obviously clearly supposed to be more interactive than the other. And it still played out interestingly. It's still well shot per se. It's well directed, looks the part, and the story was interesting still. But I found myself incredibly, I don't know, I felt like I was watching what was going on, and I felt like the decisions I was making didn't really add up to very much. So it was a dip. And I tried not to look at the reviews for it first of all, and having now gone and looked at them, apparently people felt the same. The second episode did take a bit of a nosedive in critical consensus. But I've also read that the third episode rockets right back up and is apparently blinding, and we've just started that on the Twitch live stream, which we're doing on Tuesdays, same time as this podcast, 5 in the evening if you're in the UK. So I'm holding out hope that it picks up, but just mentioning The Walking Dead earlier just made me think of it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not as sold on this. What I'm really interested to see is what they do with A, Game of Thrones, and B, Borderlands.
Yeah. Because
there's, how are they going to make Borderlands a story-driven game? Because it's a shooty, grindy game. It's a cool universe.
Maybe that'll be it. Maybe that'll be it. Do you decide to shoot this guy? Or do you want to shoot this guy, left or right? And then you go left or right. Or you do nothing.
You can play as Claptrap.
Oh, that would be amazing! That would be amazing.
I assume by amazing you mean incredibly annoying.
Oh, I love Claptrap.
No, really?
That's my favourite. Yeah, he's brilliant. He's lovely. He's adorable.
Oh, no, he's just loud and obnoxious. Come on, let's be honest.
Oh, I love him.
Loud and obnoxious is adorable.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, you can obviously download all the episodes of Wolf Among Us at the moment. But yeah, I'm holding out judgment till the second episode, I'm going to have to say. Which leaves us with Peter. Peter, what have you been playing this week?
Yes. Trials Frontier.
Let me try and pull up a video of that while you talk. Go ahead.
All right then. It is very divisive. So the sort of the chat in like on Pocket Gamer has been a bit like a lot of the comments have been like, I don't want to play this because it's free to play, and some of the sort of comments on AppSpy have kind of mirrored that. But there's also been kind of balance there as well, and I don't know how it went down on 148 Apps. Actually, how did it go down on 148 Apps? I can ask the man himself.
I didn't end up reviewing it, but the review was basically like, yeah, it's free to play, but it's really fine.
Yeah. like hands down, like I'm the free to play guy. Really, I really enjoy free to play. Obviously, PG's got a big spectrum, and so is AppSpy and Warfare. It's got a big spectrum of people who like lots of different kinds of things, and I'm one of the people who is in the sort of like free to play field. I love that kind of stuff. Because I like building games and social games and all those sorts of fluffy games, and so a free-to-play Trials game, which I like the Trials series, immediately struck me as being something very entertaining, something I would be very interested in seeing. But I also didn't really know how it was going to work out. So obviously we've talked about it before on the podcast and on AppSpy streams and that sort of thing. I went to go and play it in Gay Paris and played a sort of early version. And it was really, really cool to play, but that sort of energy system was really awkward and stilted and just really naff. The released version is brilliant. I think it's much more easygoing than that earlier build. I think they've balanced the sort of fuel thing. So for anybody who isn't really aware of the Trials kind of gameplay kind of a thing, Trials Frontier is a game in which you've got to drive a motorcycle along a 2D path and jump over things and do it quickly. Like that's ultimately it's a physics-based racing game, but you're not often really sort of racing other people. Certainly not directly. You're more sort of racing ghosts, like time trial kind of stuff. And yeah, it takes that core Trials gameplay and puts it onto touchscreens incredibly well. It's not got nearly as much finesse as the 360 PC PlayStation versions. It hasn't got that precision that you theoretically can get out of it, where you can very accurately position the weighting and sort of the body of your rider. But I was thinking about this while I was playing Frontier, and I must have put, I don't know, 15 hours into it now.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
Wow.
Like I was thinking about this, and actually the way I played Trials was very much like left stick full left, like left stick full right. I was never very precise with the whole thing.
That's true, because you can sometimes lose the nuance of these things because it becomes binary on the touchscreen. You're either just holding left or holding right. But you're right, like very rarely do you do tiny adjustments.
Yeah, like it's only the super top end Trials hardcore that are doing any of that sort of thing, and that's not me. So I've been playing it, and I genuinely feel like it's a really great proposition in terms of everything. Like in terms of value, the free to play thing is, I think it works really, really well. There are moments where you run out of fuel, but if you level up, you get a full refuel.
That's true. Yeah.
You can pay. I think I worked out like basically you can double your time with the game. You get an extra 50 fuel counters, which is like another 10 goes basically for. I think it's like 8 or 9 quid, which is like half the price of the premium products, the Trials Fusion, which has just come out. So if you really want to extend your play, then you can do that kind of a thing.
But there's always going to be a limit, though, isn't it? Even if you extend it, it'll still run out eventually.
Yeah,
right?
it would have been nice if they'd sort of gone, okay, give us 15 quid, you've got access to all the fuel that you want.
Yeah.
That would have been quite nice. But otherwise there isn't too much of that free-to-play shenanigan activity going on. The actual, the world is beautiful. It's like the steampunk, post-apocalyptic, the colours are very like oranges and greens, like really lush greens. The scenery is really thematic. Like the actual obstacles, I should say, is really thematic with the scenery. So you'll be going through these decrepit cities, and all of the buildings will be angular, and these towers have sort of toppled, and you'll be like jumping off them as straight ramps. Then you end up in the swamps, and you've got to deal with more curved, like really huge overgrown mushrooms that you have to drive over, and like curved surfaces provide this really different experience to drive upon. When you go up into the mountains, you get really big peaks, which again, that's another sort of trick that you need to bring to your arsenal of playing.
Yeah.
And it's really, really just brilliant. It mimics those games really beautifully.
And you mentioned that there's been a kind of kickback from a lot of people because obviously a lot of people would have liked a premium game in which they could have just played for everything.
It's because it's a premium franchise.
Yeah, which is fair enough, and I understand. And
absolutely.
I tend to lean in that camp as well. I'm not the hugest freemium guy, but I'm not one of these people who decries it completely. And to be honest, having played a bunch of freemium games recently that are really offensive, and some premium games which use freemium tactics in them, which we've talked about before. Card Wars, Adventure Time, which I took huge issue with, and what is the other one? The Roller Coaster Tycoon 4, with all the cooldown timers, even though it costs $5. That just bang out of order. So that when you play that, then play this. This is pretty generous as far as free-to-play games go.
Yeah,
it really is one of the kinder ones. And I know it's easy to just go, oh, it's free-to-play, it's awful. I don't think it is awful. This is actually okay.
No. I think it's really, really good. And the one thing I'm genuinely very upset about at the moment is none of my friends really are playing it. Like, so none of the people on my game.
No people to beat on your
game
center.
Essentially. So I'm not getting any of those little like pop-up menu things that sort of go, oh, you've just been beaten on this thing. Yeah. And so I'm sort of starting to kind of go, oh. Like, it has got to the point where I do need to grind out for certain they are resources, but I do need to grind out for certain items to make my bike better.
Okay.
And this essentially means that you get them through this sort of spinning wheel kind of a thing. You have to complete a level and then spin a wheel.
I've seen that.
And that gets a little bit like, it's not a paywall at all. It's just go back and play these games, and actually that works kind of well to the trial structure. But because I haven't got like friends at the moment that are playing it, like some of that desire to go back and beat those scores is diminished a little. But I think genuinely, if unlike me, you're not like a Billy No Mates, then I think that the game would really shine with all of that additional stuff. So I've been playing it for, as I say, a stupid amount of time.
It is a long time.
I thoroughly recommend it.
Okay, well, thumbs up there. I think it got a relatively kind of kindish, about a 7.
7?
Yeah, which is, for a free-to-play game.
7 is good.
That's good. That's it. Not too bad at all. There are far worse free-to-play games. And even if you are put off by the wall, you'll find actually you can play it for a good hour or so before you get kicked out. So, like, at the very beginning. So, just play it for a little bit and see if you like it.
So, really quick side story. I downloaded, because I've been downloading a whole bunch of them recently, I downloaded a Hello Kitty sort of world builder the other day because
you have issues.
Just let's skip over that. And so it's free to play, completely free to play. And one of the things that it does, so you know how like free to play games can be egregious with energy and all these different things. The thing that this does is absolutely brilliant. As soon as you start the game, as soon as you actually go into your world building section, it pops up a menu, a sort of like little interstitial ad.
Right.
And you go to like collect a thing, and it will immediately take you to a completely different game because it's an ad. So you just tap on it, and there's no way of getting around it. So like you open the game up, you go, oh, what's this stupid ad thing? I couldn't find a way of closing it. So you just have to tap the ad and go to this ad. It's a totally legit Hello Kitty game as well. I was just like, what the hell is this, Sanrio? What is this?
It's
that's very unhappy.
That's a bridge too far.
I've deleted it, so that's gone. But
that doesn't happen in Trials Frontiers.
No, it doesn't happen in Trials Frontiers. So this is good for you.
We can all agree that's okay then. Fantastic. Yes. All right then. So of course, our recommendation there, and definitely Wayward Souls might well be the game of the week. So keep your eyes up for that, ladies and gentlemen. And that brings us to the end of the podcast. Quite a lengthy one, this one, because it was all live and complete with funny noises and broken videos. But that's live for you. If you've listened to it, thank you for staying with us through us talking about things you can't see. And if you are with us on Twitch watching us, thank you. It's only the second time we've ever done this, and I think we're going to start doing it more. So get used to seeing it on a Thursday or every other Thursday. We'll do one of these things. Come and get involved. Come and talk to us and ask us questions, and we'll, hurl abuse back at you, because we're nice like that. Huge thanks to Peter and to Rob for joining us from over the seas for the first time. I'm sure it won't be the last we see of you. And we'll be back with a slightly different lineup for the podcast next week, as always, and possibly back on Twitch as well in the not too distant future. So thanks for listening, everybody. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everybody dance to the invisible music.
I don't know what kind of music it is.
Just do the robot.
That works for everyone.